It's officially spooky season, the time of ghosts, ghouls, dressing up, and pulling Halloween pranks. Unless you're a gamer, as we don't go outside. For us, it's time to open up the forbidden section, the horror section of the game collection. But the spooky month is still best celebrated by friends at your side. So that begs the question, what are the best options for some scary horror games with your friends? So I compiled 5 games that I think will be perfect to play with friends this spooky season. Let's check them out. Now, the first one on my list is the Outlast Trials. When the first Outlast came out, it brought a whole new approach to the horror space, forcing us to be fully reliant on stealth and sneaking around within tight spaces across the asylum, also running. Lots of running. Armed with only a night vision camera and an assortment of batteries. God dang it, I needed a double A! The extra level of tension that the battery life, and therefore our only lifeline, could run out, kept that heart rate high and the adrenaline pumping, because no one wants to be lost in the dark during this game, and trust me on that. The series is known for playing into that found footage horror style popularised by the Blair Witch Project. Now, using that in a horror game kind of feels like a no-brainer, and honestly, it's surprising it took so long for this to be done. The night vision they use also gives us a good reason to use the camera, which, well, was a nice touch. And the grey hairs I got from the frights, and the scars I now must bear. So considering the approach the series had up to this, with effectively having our character rely so heavily on technology, I kind of was surprised to hear that they were going to go down a prequel route. But they somehow managed to find a way to keep the battery theme intact, except this time, it's night vision glasses, in some kind of weird early prototype style. This game can be played in co-op, or on your own if you are a loner. You will go through a series of trials all set on different maps, the idea being to earn your freedom, avoiding enemies and solving puzzles that surround the maps. Now, look, the lore of Outlast has always been dark, to say the least, and they've made it darker. In the game, the Murkoff Corporation is taking advantage of the Cold War and having a deceptive program aimed to recruit volunteers. Ultimately, you play one of these poor souls, dubbed reagents, after they are kidnapped and forced to partake in the trials. But, at least in this one, you can try and survive the trials of friends, either by helping them, or by using them as distractions. Your choice. I'm not telling you what I'd do. And if it was my choice, I'd use them as a distraction, because I'm competitive and I want to win. Also, less scares for me. The next game on our list is Resident Evil 5. While Resident Evil 5 is far from the strongest entry in the long-running series, it still has the touches of horror, even if the series decided to jump the shark.
Oh my god, is that a Chris Redfield? Is that a shark? Why is Chris doing a somersault over the shark?
Resident Evil 5 does have its fair share of issues. I'm not going to try and hide that from you. Let's not forget how they managed to ruin Sheva as a character, despite her not doing absolutely anything wrong other than being done extremely dirty by the clunky AI system that infuriated gamers who had no one else to play with. Now, Chris doesn't have the best track record with partners in the world of Resident Evil. Some may even refer to it as a curse.
And let's get this out of the way. He's not even the best Redfield in the Resident Evil franchise. That is so obviously clear. And don't even try and fight me about this. You know I'm right.
The game's stories and its themes lead heavily to a joint experience. Chris is learning to come to terms with losing previous team members, and his apprehension to team up with someone again adds another layer with your buddy playing next to you. And here comes the main point. When you play this game in co-op with a friend or a partner, the game truly comes alive, as suddenly you can communicate with your partner directly and reach a good understanding. You can switch items on the fly and you have each other's backs in some of the more tight situations. Of all the games on this list, this probably has one of the most deep and longer stories to play. So if you have a partner that was also a gamer, this could be your spooky game for several nights during the season, and you'll get a B-movie inspired plot, so win-win. While this doesn't completely take away from the fact, certain set pieces certainly feel like they were ripped out of the arcade machine you'd find under some neon lights in a sweaty building full of lost dreams. That does feel a little bit too familiar, but let's just ignore that bit for me, please. Thank you. The majority of fun from arcade machines comes from how fast-paced and energetic they feel, and even when Resident Evil 5 is at its worst, it somehow catches that energy and keeps it rolling like a boulder after Indiana Jones. Chris would have made some easy work of that boulder. Would have saved Indiana Jones so much cardio. If only he was there. Phasmophobia has been around for a number of years and has reached a significantly high popularity in recent years. Like many games, stemming from Twitch streamers playing the game all the way back in 2020. Remember that year? The year time forgot. Phasmophobia relies on your investigation skills. You and up to 3 friends or internet acquaintances are operating essentially Ghostbusters from Temu. You get to use specialized equipment to help hunt the ghosts like EMF readers or incense. Like you're back in college, hiding the smell of herbal medicines from your RA. The game itself utilizes 10 different locations and over 20 different types of monsters to bust, with different difficulty levels and customization around it. You also get to hang around in a cool base that operates as a lobby filled with a nice bunch of mini-games for you to play as you wait for that one friend who is definitely jumping on in like 5 minutes. 25 minutes ago. But don't worry! Your character can also die within the game, and you too can become a ghost. To definitely help your friends within the case, and certainly not mess with them by acting like ghosts. From moving objects or setting off motion sensors, yeah, definitely not. That's certainly something you wouldn't do to your friends. Right? Now, Dead by Daylight, the ultimate crossover game, honestly only been beaten by Fortnite at this point.
What is this, a crossover episode?
From the Halloween franchise, Nightmare on Elm Street, Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, Nicolas Cage. Yeah, you heard that right, not just Nicolas Cage as a character, no, just Nicolas Cage. He announced it himself at Summer Game Fest a few years ago. I mean, if they had to do it with any actor, it would be him. Dude's got range. Also some seriously bad spending habits.
So I play this heightened, exaggerated version of a film actor named Nick Cage.
The gameplay loop itself is pretty self-explanatory, probably why it's managed to be such a mainstay in the gaming sphere since its launch over 9 years ago, with each match pitting 4 survivors against 1 killer, all played by real players, which I think, for the time it originally came out, was a big, bold move, allowing you to play the villain. You hunt them down and kill the survivors as they try and escape you. The concept that all the original characters in the game have an in-depth lore filled with reasons why they have the skills they do, and all of which they allow themselves certain benefits to the playstyle you have. And they periodically release more information about them, which certainly helps the longevity of the game, especially when you include the DLC maps and characters from all the different franchises, which adds even more fun levels, with currently over 40 different DLCs available, and more almost certainly set to come, because who doesn't want to know if Nicolas Cage, Rick Grimes, Lara Croft and Steve Harrington can survive being hunted by a xenomorph? Now, 4 friends teaming up to explore abandoned and spooky locations with nothing but flashlights and a dream seems to have been the recipe indie devs have been gunning with for the last year, following that massive success of a small-known game called Lethal Company, and we are now lapping it up. Honestly, just keep them coming. I'll take them all. While Lethal Company was an extremely fun scavenger game with that horror twist, Repo kind of expands on that idea and creates a more tense gameplay loop, interspread with weirder enemies, from a blind zombie with a shotgun to a crazed dog and an ogre-esque thing, as well as forcing us to collect a certain amount of treasure, which we can also damage beyond repair and make ourselves very sad before a giant baby head screams and kills us, leaving only a severed head in its place for one of our teammates to hopefully find. As long as they aren't stuck playing with a text-to-speech chat mode like all of mine did. And all of this is to pay the tax man. Probably the greatest and most real horror any of us could ever face. I just don't give them my address. But at the very least, we spend the whole game playing as robots, so the devs feel slightly less insane, but the loop can be ridiculously addictive, and while I found myself laughing more heavily than actively scared shitless, if your partner starts being killed off, generally the tension ramps up more. Even if it is just because they're all watching you and commenting on your gamer skills, or lack thereof. Well, that's 5 games to play this spooky season with your friends, from fun action horror, more traditional horror, and even goofy horror. So, unless you're like me and you get scared the minute you hear a scary noise in the background, I'm sure at least one of them will be for you. Let me know what you are playing down below. I'll be checking out some horror games over on Twitch at _untitled gamer. Links down below, so come on and check me out. In the meantime though guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.